TheJamies.net.
Established in 1785, St. John, New Brunswick is Canada's oldest incorporated city. The city is located on the Bay of Fundy and is well known for its historic Uptown, cultural attractions, and natural wonders. In this video, we'll provide an overview of our August 2023 visit to St. John, when our ship, the Carnival Venezia, docked at the Marco Polo Cruise Terminal, and we spent a few hours taking in the sights and tasting various Canadian foods. Just a quick note that if you enjoy this video, please give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. It really helps our channel. And consider subscribing so you get alerted when we add new videos. It's important to not confuse St. John, New Brunswick with St. John's, Newfoundland, which is located roughly 650 miles or about 1,000 kilometers to the northeast in a different time zone. In addition to having similar names, both cities are cruise ports, and both experienced a devastating Great Fire in the late 1800s. It's also worth noting that everything we visited as part of the walking tour we put together was located within walking distance of all three St. John cruise terminals. We've linked to a copy of our walking tour in the description below this video. After our ship docked at the Marco Polo Cruise Terminal, we disembarked into the cruise terminal building. Helpful information was available throughout the terminal building, including clocks that reminded us the city was located in the Atlantic time zone, which was 1 hour ahead of the Eastern time zone. The meeting point for ship-sponsored shore excursions was located inside the building, and there were also independent tour operators selling excursions nearby. Additionally, the cruise terminal building had restrooms, free Wi-Fi, and an information booth that was staffed by friendly locals who welcomed passengers with maple candy, Canadian flags, and maps of the area. The main exit for the cruise terminal building was situated adjacent to the Area 506 waterfront container village. The village was constructed from repurposed shipping containers and featured a diverse collection of shops, food stalls, performance space, and public art. The village wasn't open when we arrived at 8:20 a.m., so we continued walking north along Water Street, with the water on our left and the city on our right, to start our walking tour. As we walked along Water Street, large panels next to the sidewalk provided information about the history of St. John. We soon came to a public city bus that was offering 2-hour tours of the area. The city's tours were only available when cruise ships were in port. About 5 minutes after leaving the cruise terminal, we came to the intersection with King Street, which was said to be the shortest and steepest main street in Canada. Several attractions on our list were located at the top of the King Street Hill, so we used the city's pedway system to avoid the steep walk uphill. The pedway system was a series of indoor escalators, elevators, and walkways that connected the waterfront and Uptown St. John. To access the pedway, we entered Market Square, took the escalator up to the second floor, and followed the signs toward the skywalk to City Hall. Maps located along the pedway helped us make sure we were headed in the right direction. When we arrived at City Hall, we found the People Waiting sculptures, which were originally created in 1975. The locally iconic art pieces were restored and moved in June 2023 and made for some fun photo ops. Continuing along the pedway, we soon arrived at Tim Hortons, a very popular Canadian fast food chain known for its signature coffee and donuts. I tried a London Fog, which was invented in Vancouver, Canada, and consisted of hot Earl Grey tea, steamed milk, and sweetener. Daddy Bean tried an iced cap, and Grandpa Bean ordered a large black coffee. We all enjoyed our drinks and snacks, including our Jelly Bean, who was a big fan of the bite-sized Timbits she ordered. We used a credit card for all of our purchases in port, so we didn't have to exchange any currency. At Tim Hortons, we spent $15.92 Canadian, or $11.85 US. After finishing our quick bite, we continued along the pedway into Brunswick Square, a large shopping mall and office complex. In addition to stopping for a bathroom break, we also stopped at Lawton's Drugs and spent $46.39 Canadian or $34.52 US purchasing a bunch of Canadian snacks to try with friends and family back home. We then continued a short distance along the pedway to the St. John City Market, which was located across the street from Brunswick Square. The market, which is a designated historic site, dates back to the 1870s and has been in continuous use since its construction. The market was a full city block in length and gradually sloped from one end to the other due to the city's natural topography. Inside the market, there were many vendors selling local produce, meats, seafood, and crafts, which made it a great way to try more Canadian foods. The first food we sampled at the market was dulse, which is a red seaweed found in the eastern parts of Canada. It had a salty, ocean fishy flavor that none of us cared for, but Jelly Bean loves telling the story of the taste test. We then tried a butter tart and lemon tart from nearby Jeremiah's Deli. Butter tarts are a quintessential Canadian dessert that tastes similar to a pecan pie without the pecans. Although tarts were not listed on the deli's menu, we simply talked to the helpful staff to purchase them. The two tarts cost a total of $5 Canadian, or $3.72 US, and we all thought both tarts were delicious. Our last stop in the market was North Market Seafood, where we tried a free sample of candied salmon. Grandpa Bean was a big fan, and Daddy Bean and I also enjoyed it. Jelly Bean was a bit less enthusiastic. We left the market through the Charlotte Street exit at the top of the incline and crossed the street to King Square. The square's historic bandstand was constructed in 1908 and later restored in 2013. It was the gathering location for many local events, and the surrounding park was a nice spot for a relaxing break. From King Square, we walked downhill along King Street toward the harbor, then turned left onto Germain Street. About halfway down the block, we found the Sea Stories mural, which was described as a vision of the undersea when nobody's looking. The large mural was one of many public art pieces featured in the Art in Public Places self-guided walking tour we've linked in the description below this video. We returned to King Street and again walked toward the harbor until we reached Freak Lunchbox, a popular Canadian candy retailer that sold unusual candy, snacks, and drinks from around the world. Continuing toward the harbor, we turned left onto Prince William Street and stopped at the St. John Police Museum. Staffed by volunteers with connections to the police force, the museum was a showcase for the rich history of one of North America's oldest police forces. While admission was free, donations were appreciated. We continued to the next block of Prince William Street and stopped into Uptown Pub Down Under for some local food. We ordered a Caesar, which is Canada's national cocktail, deep-fried pepperoni, which surprisingly tasted more like Polish kielbasa, traditional poutine, which we learned was not pronounced poutine in St. John, fish and chips, and lobster rolls. We enjoyed all the food, and our total bill before tip was $55 Canadian or $40.93 US. After our meal, we stopped at the nearby Java Moose for some coffee. Intrigued by the order of the woman ahead of me, I opted for a sweetened iced coffee with vanilla cold foam. Not only was it one of the best coffees I've ever had, but the drink was freshly made and canned right before my eyes. The drink cost $4.95 Canadian or $3.69 US. Coffee in hand, we crossed the street and continued down Jardines Alley to Water Street and back to the waterfront Container Village. The village had a number of food trucks and stands serving Canadian specialties for those who preferred to stay closer to the ship. It's worth noting that the convenience of being closer to the ship came with slightly higher prices compared to the more distant venues we visited. Before heading back to the ship, we tried one more classic Canadian food, a beaver tail. We ordered a cinnamon sugar version of the deep-fried pastry for $7.48 Canadian or $5.57 US. We all thought it was very delicious. Now, some tips to help you plan your day in St. John, New Brunswick. First and foremost, wear comfortable footwear. The area near the cruise terminals is known as Uptown for good reason. You'll have to walk up from the waterfront to go anywhere. Second, consider capturing the essence of St. John's tides. Start by taking a photo of your ship when you disembark. Then take the same photo again before you reboard. The tides in St. John are influenced by the Bay of Fundy, which is famous for having the world's highest tides, and you'll likely see quite a difference between your two photos. Third, check the Port St. John website, which we've linked in the description below this video, to know where your cruise ship is scheduled to dock, so you can plan your day accordingly. Fourth, remember that St. John is on Atlantic time if you're pre-booking independent excursions. Your ship's time might not change to local time, which could impact your reservations. Additionally, we recommend traveling with a watch set to your ship's time to make sure you return before all aboard, since your cell phone might automatically update to local time. Finally, if you want to add some historical sites to your visit, the Discover St. John website offers a number of free, self-guided walking tours that align well with our walking tour. During a previous cruise to the city, we had a great time using the Discover St. John walking tours to explore the area's history.